guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of What Is, and I'm back here with another video. Sorry this took so long to make again. I had to do a few things and I wanted to relax, and also was really tired. My brain was just out of it, so sorry about that, but I am back with another video, and I am very surprised because I haven't checked in a while, and we are super close to being monetized on YouTube. Here's a photo right here. I am very surprised. Thank you guys. I cannot thank you guys enough. Thank you for getting me this far. And yeah, I also am thinking of a new what if idea. Here's another photo. If you guys know the background, you know what I'm talking about. It's a manga called I Am the Sorcerer King, where the main character gets reincarnated into a world where there is a leveling system and stats. It's very similar to solo leveling, and that's why I love it. And down in the comments, tell me what you think I should do at the beginning. I already have pretty good ideas, but let's see what you guys think. And without any further ado, let's get right into the video. It is What If Asta Was a Conduit, Part 2. As Noelle starts up her magic, creating the giant water ball in the sky, all the black bulls step outside asking Asta what the hell is going on. Asta says, I don't know, I was just walking over to her and then this happened. Well, then take care of it. You're the only one here who can cancel magic. Give me a minute. This whole day has just been full of work anyway. Asta creates his dark wings and tenses up his muscles and blasts off to the sky at high speed, creating a bit of wind pressure that knocks back the black bulls. And he's getting close to Noelle, and he charges up an anti-magic beam in his hand and shoots it at the giant water ball, piercing into it, heading inside, about to hit Noelle, when the giant ball just explodes and the beam just disperses. Noelle then starts to fall, and Asta catches her as she's falling, and she opens her eyes to see Asta with his black wings glistening in the sun, and she starts to blush. Hey, stop getting panicky and flustered. You still have to help me with chores. But that magic was awesome. He lands down and lets Noelle stand. Even though she expects to be berated by the insults, she's pleasantly surprised when they welcome her and say that they're all abandoned misfits, so it's fine. And that was an awesome amount of magic, so they're really impressed. She accepts the black bulls more and more, starts to consider them like her second family. Not that she really considered her first family a family to begin with. So that's awesome. The next day, Asta is just asking about the basics of what they do as Magic Knights, and essentially just getting to know everyone. And then Yami comes in with some of his clothes missing, and as well as Funeral, some of his clothes missing, and says that Asta and Noelle will be accompanied by Magna for their first mission. After hearing the reason why they have to do the mission to begin with, Asta says, God damn it, old man, this is why nobody respects the Black Bulls. The three then head out with Magna unveiling his crazy cyclone and says that this will be their transportation. Asta then says, nah, I'll just be flying. He sprouts his wings, and Noelle is obviously mad because she doesn't like Magna's broom. It doesn't even look like a broom to begin with. They start heading off, and when they get far enough, they see the village, and it's just covered in mist. And the village, the village they're heading for is covered in mist, which is pretty weird. And Magna and Noelle get a pretty suspicious feeling because it's not normal mist, because it's just shrouded in magic. So they figure the mist must be magic itself, and there's something going on. Magna then tells Asta to cut through the mist because it's not normal, it must be magic. And Asta cuts through it with his anti-magic wave, and they see a bunch of icicles about to drop down on people. Asta using neon rushes in the sky with his wings as well, and destroys every last one of them at incredible speed, and he lands back down, only for him and Magna and Noelle to see that there was a man who was already killed. Magna then says to Heath, did you do this? Heath, being the type of person he is pretty mad, and says that these kids are holding back their schedule. And hearing this, and hearing that they're just treating these people's lives as just nothing, Asta gets pissed and launches at them, using a bunch of after images, which confuses them. And before one of them could even use the illusion magic like in the original, they all get slammed down by his anti-magic sword, and Magna then aims for Heath by batting his exploding fireballs. However, Heath is pissed and uses endless ice shards, which Asta, who was about to attack him from behind, also has to dodge and reflect back. This causes Noelle to create her own new magic due to seeing how sad the villagers were and how useless she was in battle, and how close the icicles were about to hit the villagers. She uses her sea dragon lair and revealing a new magic, and Asta takes this chance to attack Heath from behind, seeing as the villagers aren't really in trouble anymore, so he can just go wild, and slashes an anti-magic wave at him and hits him from the back. You can almost hear a crack in his bones. This sends him towards Magna, who was about to use his scattershot fireballs. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's what they call it in the original. I keep forgetting stuff from the anime. But then he gets surrounded by Mist Illusion magic, and it's from one of the henchmen that managed to slightly stay conscious. Heath then takes this chance to throw more icicles at Magna, but gets protected by Noelle with her new magic, and she says, "Snap out of it, you delinquent. Asta's counting on you." Magna then manages to free himself due to Noelle's water barrier, and then he steps out and releases his freaking just everything, just scatter shots right at Heath. And Heath is about to counterattack, but before he can do anything, Asta jams concrete into his body, his entire body. This makes him scream in pain and cough up a bit of blood, and Magna's attack hits him as well, and yeah, that's brutal. Heath then passes out from the immense pain, and when one of the other henchmen is trying to escape, he also gets jammed with concrete. And then the villagers thank them and are very amazed, and they're just happy. And Noelle says, "Ask Asta, was that earth magic? How did you do that? What are you?" Asta then says, "It's not earth magic, it's what I call concrete." "You're just weird," she says. Asta then retaliates by saying, "Don't patronize me. You can barely control the magic you have." Nero then comes down from the sky pecking at Asta with one of the stones in her beak, and Asta wonders what it is, and luckily the villagers just let them take it because it's just a little stone. It's not really worth much considering they just saved their lives, but if they can give them that, they'll give that to them. And everything happens as in the original, from the Heath's men and himself trying to escape, but since they can't, they had to kill themselves and commit suicide, so the Bat Bulls couldn't really get any information out of them. And Asta still inspires that kid, and everything happens as the original. They then go back to the Black Bulls hideout and get a star, but of course they have a lot of negative stars, so they have a lot of work to do. And then they get also their paychecks, and of course Noelle thinks this is not that big a deal because she's a noble. Even being mistreated by her family, she's seen way more money than any of these people. And Vanessa decides to take them shopping in the city. After arriving at the city, they go around to the black market to meet Seke, who is jealous of Asta for having two beauties with him. And then out of nowhere, they hear an old lady asking for help because she got robbed. And before Seke can try to show off, Asta just disappears from their sight and appears in front of the robber with a punch to his jaw, which makes him drop. Seke then asks, "How the hell did you get there so fast?" And Asta says, "Don't worry about it. Granny, here's your stuff. Take care." The three then leave with Seke being pissed, and then the old lady transforms and turns out to be the Wizard King, who gets informed by his attendant that he needs to come back to the castle. And Julius is just thinking, that's really interesting because he can barely see him move, and he has time magic, so that's a pretty big deal. After a while, the news of a new dungeon gets revealed, and Yami tasks Asta, Noelle, and Luck with exploring it. Also because Julius requested it specifically, for Asta. We cut to the three as they start exploring, and Noelle and Luck are feeling a huge and immense amount of magic, while Asta senses nothing, but he's still pretty amazed at the structure of the dungeon itself, and they start walking. Asta accidentally activates a trap, but is able to dodge it because of his natural instincts and his super speed, and cuts it super fast. But then Luck starts acting crazy and activating all the traps on purpose, and Asta has to dodge. There's something wrong with me today. And Asta has to dodge while carrying Noelle, who is blushing immensely, and this is pretty easy for him. It's not that big a deal, but they're both starting to really hate Luck. And then Luck feels a huge surge of magic elsewhere and then leaves. And Asta is just yelling, "Luck, what the hell, come back." And Noel asks him if, he can put her down. And as he does, a high level magic plant pops out of nowhere, shooting vines that catch Noel, and Asta is just getting tired of this shit and says, "Oh, shut up." He then fires a large smoke shot that penetrates the center of the plant and kills it. And then he hears Yuno's voice that says, "Hey Asta, I had that." His team then drops down and Yuno and Asta's eyes meet and they smile. And Klaus then says, "Why did you try to help this trash?" Asta then says, "Who's the Four Eyes?" Of course, Klaus retaliates by saying this stuff, "Oh, don't talk back to me, you're a commoner, blah blah blah." I'm not going to go through that whole argument. Mimosa then introduces herself, saying hi to Noel because they've met before, and mentions that they just got a star. And Asta says, "Oh yeah, so did we." Klaus then, in disbelief, says, "Lies, there is no way someone from the Black Bulls will be able to do that." And Yuno then tells him that he really shouldn't underestimate Asta. Asta just says, "Honestly, I don't care if you don't believe me. Actions speak louder than words. So I'll go raid the dungeon so you can decide for yourself whether I'm strong or not." Klaus then says, "Then we'll raid it first to show you your place." Asta just says, "I don't care. I just don't care, man. You started this argument to begin with." Asta then sprouts his wings and carries Noel, who despite being a little bit nervous is focused, and with the help of Nero, they're being guided to where Luck is, and with the fact that Noel can sense his huge amount of magic just bursting everywhere. Mimosa then is just surprised and shocked because it doesn't seem like a normal thing for someone to be able to pop out wings when she can't sense any magic, and this is all just really confusing to everyone. And Klaus says, "Weird, but we'll still beat him." Yuno then says, "Seriously, don't underestimate him. I fought him since we were kids, and I've never won a match, even going full strength." Klaus is shocked, and Mimosa then guides them with her plant creation magic, and Yuno then transports them away with his wind arc. We cut to Luck, who was attempting to fight the smoke mage after he beat up a bunch of his underlings just senseless, and he's using his lightning body, but unfortunately he gets caught because the smoke is just kind of weakening him. And while this is happening, the Golden Dawn has already found the giant door but was attacked by Mars, and Mimosa has already been hurt in the progress. While Luck is trapped, reflecting on his kind of past trauma with his mom, him and the smoke mage are surprised to see that the smoke is being dissipated, and they look to see Asta, who is with Noel and is absorbing all the smoke. Sorry about that. He then calls Luck out on his bullshit and sets him straight. And the smoke mage then says, "How the hell did you do that?" But Asta just then says, "It doesn't matter, man. All you need to know is this is my territory and you're gonna lose this fight." The mage then tries to hide away in the smoke, but Asta controls it and explodes it around the area he was hiding in, and this really affects him and does a lot of damage. In fact, Luck takes this chance to rush at him with a lightning ball and slams it into his stomach, and then he gets slammed down by Asta's magic sword, and he lands down, making a crater. As Noel tries to get close to trap him in her sea dragon's lair, he creates his kind of smoke car and starts to leave. Luck does think about capturing him and catching up to him, but Asta says that they should get to raid the dungeon, and they already weakened him, so if he tries anything funny, they can still beat him up. We cut to Yuno, who is jumped in to help Klaus and can affect Mars to a certain degree, but it's in fact not true when out of nowhere Mars just turns to a mineral clone, and every time Yuno does try to actually hurt him seriously, his armor just protects him. Yuno tries his crescent move slashes and just keeps throwing them, but then it gets blocked when Mars creates a gigantic magic sword and tells Yuno to just give up, but Yuno refuses, and this causes Mars to slam the sword down at But then Asta finally appears, slashing it, and then says, "I thought you were gonna be the Wizard King. I shouldn't have to save you." Then says, "I almost had him." Asta then says, "You're bleeding, man. Just doesn't matter. It's my turn anyway." While Noelle is protecting Mimosa while she is healing herself, Klaus is completely just lost. Why a commoner would have so much power. And then Asta just dashes as Mars and slashing him in half, but then it just turns into his clone. And Asta looks up to see the real him with another giant mineral sword and slashes Asta, who gets cut into dust only to reappear behind Mars and infuses his fist with anti-magic and punches him in the back. And he appears in front of him as he's falling and then slashes an anti-magic wave at him. And when it hits him, he just spits out a lot of blood and gets launched into a wall. Klaus is just in disbelief and saying, "How is he doing this?" And while he's distracted because of his confusion, he almost gets hit by a clone, which Luck and Noelle are also fighting against. And Noelle protects him, and then she says, "Would you snap out of it? Stop whining. Yeah, Asta has no magic, but he can nullify it. And he isn't even using all his abilities yet." Klaus then says, "What the hell is going on? He's a commoner, he should not have this much power, blah blah blah." Again, I'm not getting into this. Mars then lands back down with his bad CG armor and aims it at Asta, who easily just moves out of the way and then sheathes his sword and sprouts his wings and imbues his hands with anti-magic and then flies towards Mars, hitting him repeatedly, kind of like Luffy's Gum like Gatling gun, and just like hitting him repeatedly. And when Mars does try to like swat him away, it gets canceled out when Asta just like swats it with his hand, blocking and just attacking at the same time. And this goes on for about 10 seconds until Mars just collapses, with his armor collapsing as well because of how much blood he's losing, and he just passes out. Klaus then uses his metal magic to make him a sort of straight metal jacket, and it's time to go get the actual treasure. And that's where I'm gonna leave it off. Sorry if I mumbled a bit. My reading skills are not as good as they were because I have been lazy as fuck. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and tell me down in the comments about what you think about my new idea for what if Deku was the Sorcerer King and how should it play out. And considering how much I haven't uploaded since it's been like 5 days, I believe, I'll make it up to you guys by posting another video today, and if I have enough time, I'll post another one. So I will see you guys in the next video.